Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. How are you all doing? We're going to be working on Piranhas today. Actually, they're almost done, but I think I just want to finish some things up with them, and then, I don't know, we'll probably do some more content. There is a bunch of work that still needs to be done, especially I need to start working towards making a demo build eventually, so I think probably going to need to refine the tutorial some more, redo the tutorial some more, and then what else? Yeah, there's just a bunch of like quality of life, player experience stuff that needs to be addressed. So yeah, I don't know, probably be doing some of that throughout the week, but I want to do content at least for this week. Try to just put as much in as possible. Because every single piece of content that I add is a piece of content I don't need to add later before release, right? To hit the target. So anyway, we're going to be doing some content today for the most part, unless I get sidetracked. And yeah, the playtest is available now for Alchemortis, so you can head on over to the Steam page, just click the request access button here, and you'll get right into the playtest. You can also support the game on Patreon if you're interested. Subscribing at the top tier for at least 1 month will get your name in the in-game credits, as well as a key for the full game, so you don't have to buy it on Steam. So this is like a pre-purchase, and it's a great way to support me. And you could also purchase one of my Udemy courses. This also helps fund development, but you'll also learn how to build games in the Godot engine. So if that sounds good to you, check those out, please. And otherwise, we're gonna get into it. So I'll show you what the goal of the Piranha is, and then we could talk about what I'm gonna do next with it. But anyway, hello Clickertail, welcome. Hello Emerson, good to see you. Hello Diligence Humility, welcome back. Good to see you. Hello, Totally Not Brain Rot. Welcome. Alrighty, so here's the Piranha. And the Piranha has a bunch of abilities already, but... So the main thing is we're trying to get this to be... So this was Jack's suggestion. Hello, Mr. BDX, welcome. Or MRBDX. Who knows if that stands for Mr., but there you go. So the idea behind the Piranha is to get like a Piranha swarm going. And so this Piranha has an innate passive. After 200 stacks of bleed are applied by allied items, it grants a Piranha item can only trigger once. So every Piranha that you create has the ability, or that you get has the ability to create another Piranha. And then it has a swarm ability, reduce the cooldown of one random Piranha by 0.1 seconds. So that's a swarm ability that it has. And then we've got another swarm ability, which is deal 3 damage. So the idea here is that the Piranha you'll want to build up bleed to get more Piranhas. The damage is gonna obviously synergize with the bleed, because bleed gets triggered by physical damage. And then the swarm is supposed to make it so that like every Piranha that attacks will make or reduce the cooldowns of other Piranhas, so like they get the swarm behavior kind of going, right? This like flurry of attacks and stuff. But the problem is all the Piranhas naturally have the same cooldown, and so the cooldown reduction doesn't do anything. Because the way that this works is, actually I need to change this language a little bit. Reduce the remaining cooldown. So this is very specific. This ability only changes the remaining cooldown. And so if your cooldown is already 0, you can't go below 0, right? So it's in a weird spot where like they all have the same cooldown, but they all execute at the same time, which means all of their cooldowns are 0, which means that there can be no remaining cooldown reduction. So what I'm thinking about doing is somewhat randomizing the cooldown of each Piranha that gets created. I basically I need to add an element of like randomness into the Piranha somehow to bring out that synergy ability that I want to do. I also want to try to change this probably. 3.9 seconds. So I don't actually know if this is going to be proper, but we can try it. Card definition resource, Piranhas, so this is base card. So in here, every time we create this guy, see, I actually don't know. Set turn cooldown, override, set base. Actually, let's go to Elf in a Jar. Elf. We're going to go a roundabout way. Alchemy, reduce cooldown. Turn cooldown modification per card. Turn cooldown modification. Turn cooldown modification. Modify base cooldown. Base turn cooldown is equal to that. Okay. Modify base cooldown. Set base cooldown. So it might be okay to set it the first time that it's created. I'm actually not sure, but let's see. Do I want to do this up here? Let's just do this. So let's do set base cooldown. And we're going to do private const int min cooldown. Private, oops, const int max cooldown. We'll do 50. And then we're going to do set base cooldown mathutil rng.rand I range min cooldown max cooldown. Now the only thing is I think that's going to work, but the only thing that I'm not sure of is if that's going to persist to the save file correctly. I think it should, because we create a new instance of the card, it sets the cooldown to a random thing, and then we save that to the save file, and then the deserialization process from the save file will create a new instance of the Piranha. Its cooldown will be randomized, but then it follows up after that with another overwrite of the base cooldown with whatever's stored in the data. Now the interesting thing too is that this is probably going to change the cooldown of the Piranha in this screen every time you open it up, which is probably okay, but there it is. So 4.9 seconds, 4.4 seconds. So it's just going to be randomized every time in there, I guess, but that's all right. I was debating whether I make that like a random or another innate ability on it so you can actually see it, but yeah, I don't know. Glad a man of that work ethic is not my enemy. Oh goodness. Welcome back, December A. Good to see you. So this is 4.2 seconds. So, okay. So I'm going to want to put my save file on. Enable test player cards. That's probably fine. Turn off ignore save file. Let's clear save data. So let's just see if this works. So we've got one Piranha, which is 4.8. We've got another Piranha, which is, 4.8 again. $3.6, there we go. So I've got those two things. Oh, you know what? This is actually not going to work. Is it going to work? Yeah, so the problem here is that if the random number that's chosen happens to be whatever's configured in the card definition resource, it will be randomized on the next load. Because what I'm doing is I'm not storing the base cooldown in the JSON unless it's different than what's configured in the definition. So if I generate a random range and that number happens to fall on the exact number, which is, I believe, 3.9 seconds. So if it chooses 39 in the random number generator, it won't persist that to the save file, which means the next time you load, it'll be randomized again. So probably don't want that. Give me 1 second here. Sorry, gotta check on something real quick. All right, sorry about that. Hopefully there's no more interruptions. So we need to figure out how to get this random cooldown in place. Is there a different way to do this? Is there a different way to do this? So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to stagger the cooldowns a little bit of the piranhas so they can actually do the swarm. I mean, one thing I could do is I could just set this turn cooldown I could just set this outside the range of what I'm generating. That's a little bit hacky, but that would pretty much guarantee that... I mean, actually, I could just turn this up quite a bit. Now, the problem here is that if for some reason this fails to be set or save, it would have a 100-second cooldown. But I don't know if that's going to be possible because I'm setting the cooldown randomly every time. Every time this card is created. So I don't know if there's a way to actually create this card without setting the cooldown. So yeah, I think that will just work. It's a little bit of a hack, but so I set the turn cooldown way above anything that it could ever reasonably be, and that will basically force it to always be written to the save file. So add item repeat piranha, let's just do 6. I just want to see if I get one that's at 3.9. No. Add item repeat piranha 6. So we're looking for one that's 3.9. Goodness gracious, get out of here. Add item repeat piranha 6. There's 3.9. Okay, so that's the default. That's the default, or that was the default. So now this is actually going to work. That should remain at 3.9, no problem. Yep, there we go. So 3.6, 3.9, 4.8. Three 3.9, 4.8. Cool. So that fixes that problem. So let's take a look. Just get a sense for how that works. Now, I was thinking about doing something... Wait, why does this have 2 innate swarm abilities? Oh. What happened to the damage? Wait, did I break something? Uh-oh. Wait a minute, where'd the damage go? Oh. Right, these have the same key. Oh, okay. These end up having the same key. Oh, that's unfortunate. Now I wonder... So this is going to be an issue quite a bit. So what ends up happening is when I load it back from the save file, there are 2 abilities with the swarm key. So if I go to my, let's see if I could open up my alchemortis.json. So the way that the ability restoration works is that, oh, I sold my items. Okay, well, there's a fly in here now. Gosh. Get out. Is that a fly? What is that? Oh, it left. Okay, I'll kill that later. But the buzzing is no longer here. Okay, good. So if I add item, repeat, piranha, 6. So these have the normal abilities, which is expected. But then if I look at the save file, so this is how the abilities are stored, right? And actually, I don't really know why. Why is this storing the abilities at all? Okay, so there's a couple of problems here. Is that base cooldown? Composed abilities add range. So hold on, there's a bunch of issues here. Get base component should save ability is absorbed. Provenance source dot swarm. Oh. No, wait a minute. That's not right. Ability is composed and persistent state is not equal to null. Oh, right. Okay. All right, that makes sense. Okay, so anyway, it's saving. Typically, the abilities don't get saved to an item unless the abilities have changed, but there's another condition too, which is that if there's persistent state associated with any of the abilities, then it saves all of them. So there is persistent state associated with the first ability here because it tracks permanently how much bleed was applied, and it stores that in the save file, so that way when you save a game with a partial amount of bleed applied and you come back to it, it will store that amount of bleed applied so that you don't have to redo that whole thing. But if any ability in the abilities list has persistent state, then it persists all of them. But here's the core problem. The reason why this is not being restored properly is because these have the same key. So these keys need to be unique by card, right? So these keys only need to be, like, this combination of things essentially needs to be unique. So the source, the card ID, and the swarm, those form like a quasi-composite key. And so I can have other items in the game that have an ability with the swarm key, but what I can't have is two abilities on the same item with the same key. So that's the problem. Now, what I want to do, and what I'm not going to be able to do because it'll break existing saves, is what I want to do is I want to, in my ability builder swarm, I want to just create a more sophisticated key here, a more comprehensive key, by doing dupedability.key. So swarm underscore dupedability.key, but that's not going to work because that will break any existing save files. So that may be a change that I want to make later. But I'll just add that to the backlog so I don't forget that. So make ability builder swarm key also use duped abilities key as part of it, but can't do while there are active saves. So I will do this after the playtest ends. So for now, what I need to do is I actually need to just set the key differently on this. So we're going to take this var swarm damage is equal to that. Swarm damage set key override swarm damage. So those just need to be different keys, and then we can put this in here. All right. So that should restore the damage properly. I'm glad I caught that. I do have a unit test for that would have caught that, but the problem is I haven't been able to get the unit tests to work in CI. So basically they're useless unless I randomly and manually add them. Add item, piranha, whatever, we'll just add one. So we got swarm deal 3 damage. We go back into the game. We should see swarm deal 3 damage again. Yeah, okay, so now it's correct. Okay, good. Hello, Danny Redow. I hope I said that correctly. Welcome back to the stream. Hello, Stray Boar. Welcome. Are AI engineering or machine learning engineering good options for a career? I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know anything about those disciplines. I'll kill that later. Good line. This C sharp, yes. Var is like G is TS Godot. Well, var is just a syntactic sugar. If languages implement that or not, I don't like. It's a language design choice. It's not specific to Godot or C sharp or anything. Var is just a way of, C sharp is a statically typed language, so you need to have concrete types for everything. And what var does is it essentially is a shorthand way of saying the type of this variable is whatever the right-hand side of the operation resolves to, is the type of the right-hand side, basically. So this swarm damage knows that this is a composed ability because ability builder.swarm returns a composed ability, right? So instead of having to do composed ability swarm damage, right, this is just a shorthand way of doing the same thing. Now, if I wanted this to be a more base type, I could do like base card ability, and that would work because composed abilities are base card abilities at the end of the day. But I want it typed as a composed ability. Anyway, so that works. I think that'll be okay. So now let's see if this even does anything. This card may be a little bit too powerful, but I think I want to turn up the bleed requirement to 300 here. Because I was testing it, and even with just like one bleed item, it was actually pretty powerful. And the piranhas, they're classified as weapons as well. So that should help. There's not too many weapons in the game, so this should help quite a bit. But let's see. That is a fun little item. Now, does this increase... Did I make that scale at all? Let's see. Current cooldown. Yeah, it goes up by 1 every time you upgrade it. Okay. I wonder... I may reduce the damage a little bit. I mean, maybe not. Whatever. We'll just keep it at 3. It's fine. It's a relatively large item. It takes up... I mean, relatively large. It takes up 2 cells on your board. And you need to stuff your board with a few of them before they become useful. So yeah. I think that's probably alright. 300 stacks of bleed. That's fine. Alrighty. Okay, I think we're going to call this one done. I do need to add flavor text for it. Oh, and then I need to do remove in development flag. So yeah, new piranha item is available. It's a minion and weapon, so there you go. Randomize piranha cooldown on create. Hello, Raised Ball. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Okay, we're going to test. There's a sunstone bug, potentially. Legendary crystal ball in the top right corner when alchemizing. It removed the legendary ability. So let's take a look. Let's do ignore save file. Lead ingot, crystal ball, and sunstone. Let's see if we can reproduce this bug. I told my wife the ring was added for her. If anyone asks, just roll with it, okay? All right, sounds good. Yeah, we can. We got you. We got you. Crystal ball, lead ingot. All right, apply armor equal to damage taken since last execution. Add item. Let me just put other items in. Not enough blood. Oh, legendary piranha. Ooh, legendary. Oh yeah, I did remove that. Oh, interesting. So when you put it in with multiple items, it removes the legendary ability? Let me see if I can reproduce that. Let's do legendary crystal ball. So if it's with multiple items, it removes the legendary ability. Is that what it is? Why would that happen? The piranha in there. Interesting. Wait, do I just have like a... Hold on. Hello, Junie. Welcome back. Is that a Brazilian piranha? It can be. It can be if you like. Sunstone shenanigans broke my run. I'm sorry. For some reason, it's clearing. I just want to make sure actually, like, if I do this with other items, does it actually remove? Okay, it's not removing. So the Sunstone is removing the legendary ability, but only when you are doing multiple inputs at the same time. Okay. Oh, I know why, probably. Yeah, I know why. Let me see if I can find that code. Replaceable base indices. Original base count, new composed abilities dot count. Card to preserved abilities contains. Okay. Replaceable base indices. Okay. No, actually, that doesn't make any sense. Hold on a second. Oh, right. Okay. So the reason why that's breaking is because it's doing the legendary ability replacement up here. It's changing the index of the new composed abilities, but then when it comes down here, it's saying, okay, what are all the indices in the composed ability array that are replaceable? And it's checking if the card to preserved abilities contains the new legendary that we just added, and it doesn't. So it marks that as a replaceable index, and so it just gets replaced in alchemy. So I guess the question is, Like, does it still make sense to do this here, or do I just drop this into place after? The other thing that I can do, I mean, part of me is like, I could just duplicate the logic. So card to preserved abilities. So what this is doing down here is this is basically saying, here's the list of all the abilities we don't want to change in alchemy. And so we're going to grab all of the non-alchemizable abilities. And then we're also going to grab all of the abilities that were preserved by reagents. So this list up here, it's basically going through all the reagent cards and it's saying, okay, give me all of the abilities that were preserved. And then we're going to add that to the list where we're specifically preserving that. Now, the thing that I'm wondering is, like, does it just make sense to say, not new composed abilities, So now I'm wondering, do I even need to do this part in here, right? Can I just remove that since I'm basically just duplicating that up here? Although I am looking at the pre-alchemy preserved abilities here. So yeah, I probably don't want to make that change. Let's just do the bare minimum. So we're going to keep that in there because that might introduce another bug if I change that. We'll just add an extra check in here. We'll just check again if that ability at the new composed ability index is alchemizable. I think that will work. So I can keep the legendary replacement up here, even though that replaces an index in the new composed abilities. Is that what I want to do? Yeah, I think that'll work. Hello, no KG. Welcome. Good to see you. Imagine you're just running your tavern and walks in a weird dude with a cloak waving some fish with teeth at you. What solution did you go for with the piranhas in the end? I'm randomizing their cooldown when they're created for the first time. So the cooldown is anywhere between 3.5 seconds and 5 seconds. So that gives enough of a stagger, I think. Hello, Cake Hug. Welcome back. How are you doing? Hello, Eskeltron. Good to see you. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Okay, let's make sure this worked. Okay. Just put a bunch of random stuff in here. Okay. That appears to work now. I just want to make sure. Let's just make sure that this still works. Absorb and remove a random innate ability from one adjacent item. Okay. Then I should be able to put that. And it didn't get the innate ability because it got corrupted. Cool. But, I mean, we could just try it again. Just put it on this one, and let's add item corrupted rows. I'm going to fix this as well. Anyway, left and right. Oh, of course I can't do that. I guess that works. There we go. Innate. Perfect. Okay. So all that still works. Oh, I need to rebuild the translations as well. Art is fantastic. Love it. Thank you. Okay, rebuild that. Okay. Fix Sunstone Legendary not properly protected. Cool. All right. So we fixed that bug. Artifact. Swarm abilities will trigger one additional swarm ability. I do want to do that. I do want to do that. I also still, I don't know, I've got this thing stuck in my head. I want to change the obelisks. Maybe let me do some, unfortunately, I'm not going to get seed sharing done, unfortunately. But let's move these items to the backlog. I got to start prioritizing things properly here. Okay. Backlog. Backlog. Okay, I do want to do this obelisk change. So I was playing the game a couple days ago, and I was like, I don't know about the obelisks. Number one, they're too wordy, the obelisk effects, and also they change too many nodes, I feel. So I'm thinking about changing the obelisk so that it just changes one node all the time, and then I'll just buff the obelisk effects to keep the relative strength the same, if that makes sense. I think that'll just improve the obelisk experience. There's no reason for it to change multiple nodes anymore. So I think I'll just do that. I may keep that code in place, though, to support changing multiple nodes at once, because then I could introduce an artifact that makes obelisks generate one additional node of the type that you choose, which would be pretty cool. But anyway, so we're trying to build out the swarm capabilities. I do want to do an artifact where swarm abilities will trigger one additional swarm ability. Or we could do something like trigger all swarm abilities on combat start. We could do both. Would that be too powerful? Well, I'll think about that one in particular, but I want to do this one for sure. So yeah, how are we going to do this? Let me look at swarm. Yeah, actually, I think this would be relatively easy. So if I want to do an artifact that triggers an additional ability, so there's a couple ways to think about it. I could either trigger an additional ability or I could target an additional item. I mean, it's, you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I guess the problem here is that this is just grabbing... Yeah. I actually think I do want it to, like, run... I do want it to run this whole thing again. So if I look at my ability builder swarm, I basically just want to run this ability again. So I think what I would do... Hest is equal to new ability repeater. Execution count funk. I think what I would do is something like this. Query target provider, swarm decorator. And then the count func would be something like artifact modifiers dot accumulate modifier. No. Artifact manager dot accumulate modifier. Whatever. And so that would basically run the swarm again. And so this would be, yeah, this would be like this. Repeat abilities. So it would run these two things, and then it would run those two things again, but only if this count, well, in accordance with this count. So if this count returns 0, then this ability repeater would do nothing. So when we go to execute, the count is 0, it doesn't do anything, it returns basically nothing for the execution result. So I could just bake that in at the swarm level here. Am I using swarm decorator anywhere else? I'm not. Okay. So the only place where this would break down is if I use the swarm decorator by itself in some other ability without going through this, because then I'd need to repeat this logic. So this artifact logic would only work for abilities that I'm building through this swarm here. So is there a way to do this in the swarm decorator itself? I don't think so. Because the problem is I need to re-execute the query target provider to get a new target, right? So every time this executes, it selects a random target, and then the swarm decorator will execute a swarm ability on another item. And so I actually need to rerun this again before I rerun this one. So it almost needs to exist at this level. So I think that would be okay. But there is a potential that I could introduce a bug later on if I ever use the swarm decorator by itself. Which I don't think, I mean, I'm not doing currently, and I don't think I would, I can't foresee a situation where I would need to do that, but it is a possibility. So that's why I'm kind of thinking, like, is there a more bulletproof way to do this? But I honestly don't think so. The only thing I can think of with respect to making this more bulletproof is make the swarm decorator itself a composed ability and then bake all this stuff into it. And so that way, whenever I need a swarm decorator, anytime I create one, it will just have that logic baked into it. But that's a little bit of extra work that I don't really want to do right now. Yeah, I think it'll work. Hello, Artem. How do you usually organize your Godot folder scenes for a project like this? It's not super intense. You know, I just have all my assets basically just organized by type. resources organized by type. Scenes. So the scenes in the scripts directory mirror each other. So I've got like scenes autoload, scripts autoload. So anytime a scene has a script attached to it, I mirror the directories between scenes and scripts. But then of course I have like scripts that have no corresponding Godot scene. And those just live in their own directories in the scripts directory. There's nothing special about it. It's, you know, yeah, I mean, I just kind of like make a best effort to put them wherever I think is appropriate, and then that's it. And the other thing too is like, I don't really use the file organization to navigate my project that much. Like I'm almost always using the quick open dialog to go to whatever I want, or in like my scripts too. Like I post comment, like I just do that to navigate. So I'm very rarely like looking through the directory structure anyway. So I don't put a whole lot of effort into like making sure it's perfectly organized, but I do try to keep it, you know, I try to keep it so that way if I ever needed to go and look for something in the directories, that my intuition about where I would have put it is correct, if that makes sense. So if I'm like, where would I have put a class like that? It's might be in data alchemy, and then I see that I'm like, oh yeah, there it goes, you know, there it is. So yeah, but it's not like super, you know, there's nothing special about it. It's just whatever happens to work for me. Hello, Footlong Icicle, welcome, good to see you. You're welcome, Alp. Is there any chance of an endless mode, or way for the player to continue after the run is over, maybe spawning the player with everything he has in a new and harder map from the beginning? So everyone keeps asking about an endless mode, which is great, because that means that you guys are enjoying the game and you just want to continue with your builds that you've created. But I don't think I have time to do an endless mode prior to release. So if an endless mode comes, it will be in like a post-release patch. But people keep asking about that, which is great, because like I guess that means that the game is fun and people don't want to give up their builds that they've created, right? Endless mode would be kind of weird though, because at some point I have to stop you from being able to grow your board, because otherwise the board would just not fit on the screen. So at some point, you know, I may just, for like endless mode, I may just like not give you grow board opportunities if you're on a new map. And so basically just freeze whatever your board size is and just force you to min-max on that board as the enemies are getting harder. Hello, Mohal. Welcome. Did you participate in GMTK Jam? I did not, unfortunately. It's my favorite game jam to participate in, and I wasn't able to do it because I need to focus all my effort on Alchemortis. Unfortunately. Or fortunately. So anyway, let's design the artifact then for this. Artifact creation tool. Well, let's do the art first. I think somebody suggested making it like a locust or something. Can I draw a locust? Would that be possible? Locust. What a weird word, you know? There's not a word quite like it. I kind of want to draw it at an angle as well. This would be like that. Just do very basic to start. And then it would have like a butt going this way. This needs to be rounder. And then it would have like legs. And then it also needs wings. I don't have enough room for any of that. I'd probably need to cut off the wings if I did. Something like that. Yeah, I'm too close to the edges. I guess I'm just gonna have to try to draw it smaller. I guess I'm just gonna have to try to draw it smaller. Participated for the first time, was fun, but didn't expect 10k submissions. It's really popular, yeah. I used to live on Locust Street, which now seems strange. That is strange. Locust or Slushy Machine, you decide. I think we'll try this. I'm gonna try this. I actually kind of want to do something interesting. Instead of making it like an organic locust, I wonder if like... I was almost thinking like golden locust or brass locust or something. Or like a locust charm, something more interesting. Because I don't really have like organic artifacts. I guess we got like the manticore stinger. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm gonna have to draw this smaller though, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick 3-minute break though, and when I come back, we will draw this locust, and then we'll get it to work. I think I have a plan for how to get this to work. It should be relatively simple, but we'll see. Anyway, BRB in just 3 minutes, and we'll continue on. Okay, I'm back. I think the Godot courses link is broken. Is that so? Let's see if I can figure out how to actually bring that up. It's broken, huh? Let's see. Which one are you trying to use? Interesting. Is Udemy having problems? Hold on a second. I think Udemy is just having problems. Yeah, I literally visited the page from the Udemy search and it didn't work. So it's a Udemy problem, but thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, it's nothing on my end. Just use the link and it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I've been showing those links every morning, well, as part of the ads that I do. And those links don't change either. So it's not working for me either. And I literally just did it this morning. I literally just opened that page this morning without changing anything. So I would give it a couple hours and see if Udemy fixes it, unfortunately. Hello, Injust, welcome. Udemy vibe coded a bit morning. Yeah, Udemy is like all in on like the AI learning stuff, which is a little bit annoying because they're just changing all the pricing and everything. It's like, I don't know. I might move to, I mean, if my courses stay relevant or if I put more effort into the courses, I might move to just like a self-hosted option. The hard part about that though is then you have to drive your own traffic, you know. So the nice thing about Udemy is that they kind of like market your course for you. So they will recommend courses to people. They will surface your course in search results, etc. So the discoverability is way better on Udemy. But with a self-hosted option, I'd need to set up my own website and do like all the SEO for it, and then I'm also responsible for finding a platform that can collect all the necessary tax from around the world and do regional pricing. It's like, ugh. You know, it's too hard. It's too hard for the little guys like me. Got to worry about collecting the VAT tax for Europe and the state taxes for the United States and all that kind of stuff. It is not so easy to sell things online, which is why people like me tolerate when Udemy takes like a high percentage cut, because they handle all that stuff, and it's like that is a huge boon usually. But maybe it's time to rethink that a little bit. Okay. Keep looking at the wrong one. I'm going to move this down. I keep looking at the wrong preview and I'm like, why is it not changing? So I want to create some kind of separation there. So we've got like the head portion. Okay, this is looking a little bit nicer. I need to be at least 3 pixels away from the borders on all sides. So it looks good. And now we've got room up here for some wings, so we can try that out. Let's see. So the wings would be, I think, basically around here somewhere. So we can do that. Yeah, we want this to be something like that. I don't really want to chunk up the leg like that though. Actually, that probably looks fine. And then we'll just do like a little implied wing back here. This probably actually needs to be narrower. Yeah, that'll work. Will that work? Yeah, that's probably fine. So are we still 3 pixels away? 3, no, that's 2. Move that over. 3, that's more than 3. That's only 2. Okay, so we've got a problem. I guess I could just... Yeah, I can just do that, I suppose. So now we should be 3. 3, 3, 3. Okay. So we've got the locust shape down. Actually, what did I do here? Yeah, I used too much red. There we go. Okay. I actually don't think I want to do that. That's probably fine. I don't need to spend a whole bunch of time making it like anatomically perfect. Okay, so let's I guess we just start shading. Oops, that's not the kind of shading that I want. I may remove that little extra pixel there. Yeah, I guess let's just see what happens. So let's firstly do something like that. I can bring that up. Okay. Actually don't know what I'm going to do about that. I guess that works. Well, I said I was going to make it golden, but... let's see. Do I want to make the body more purple? Actually, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I don't think there's much to complain about there. I may change these colors if I want to do like a golden like a golden grasshopper, golden locust. I'm gonna move the leg a little bit too. I think it needs to be up a little bit more. So should I move this section as well? I guess that works. The unfortunate thing is I need to cut the wing up a little bit more. But I think that still looks fine. Yeah. The leg just felt a little bit out of position, I think. Okay, and then we do something like this. Do I want to do that? That's fine. I'm not so sure about the eye, though. Oh, I guess I also need, like, antenna. Right? What do I want to do for the eye? Do I want to make it look like it's... No. I don't really know what to do about the face. I guess I'll come back to that. Yeah, I'll probably come back to that. Don't want to go overboard with the wings. It's probably okay the way that... Yeah, it's probably okay. Wonder if I should make those... Maybe I should make them blue. Yeah, I guess that's fine. You ever do game jams? Yeah, I've done a lot of game jams. You could go to firebelly.itch.io and you could see all the games that I've done for jams. It's quite a bit. It's quite a lot of them. Downdetector.com/firebelly returns 404. Uh-oh. Do you have a specific palette you use? Yeah, it's a Witching Hour from Low Spec. It's 8 colors. And so yeah, that's the palette I'm using. Oh man. I don't know why I'm so tired all of a sudden. I really don't know what to do about the face here. Something's wrong with the face. I don't want to do that because then it looks like a cute dog or something. That might be okay. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be perfect. Doesn't need to be perfect. Did you create the palette? I did not create the palette, no. I created all the art, but I did not create the palette. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. With the message yummers. Thank you, thank you. Guess we'll just go with that. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Alrighty. And then we'll do this. Just add an extra separation there. Am I still within... Wait, did I do something wrong? Did I move it up on accident? There we go. Okay, I'm going to stage this. I'm going to try replacing the colors here. I might want to keep these wings as blue. Actually, yeah, that looks pretty good. I do need to use more more white highlights if I'm going to try to sell the idea that this is gold. And then this one in the back, we'll make that blue as well. Yeah, I don't think that looks terrible. I think the face could be stronger, but I am not the world's foremost expert on drawing locust faces, so we might just have to call that good. I think it's reasonable. I mean, it looks like what I want it to look like. I think it looks respectable. I don't know. I don't have any problems with it necessarily. So we should have at least 2 pixels now with the outline. Ah, son of a biscuit. I don't have enough space on that side. Well, do I just... That's unfortunate. I need 1 extra pixel on that side. Very unfortunate indeed. I suppose I could do something like that. Doesn't look as good, but it fixes the problem. Gee, dang it. Okay, it's fine though. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 there, 2 there. All right. So let's go to the locust here. Oh, I didn't add, let's do artifact creation tool. Locust, create. All right, so now we go to locust here. This would be golden locust. Edit this region. Oh, I need to do grid snap 24 by 24. There we go. Okay. Yummers. The face have 2 blocks, not 3, I guess. Sorry for the long message. I've only recently started learning how to make video games. Could you give me some advice? I'm wondering where to study besides tutorial and Godot docs. My advice, I think the best way to learn is to do like a trial by fire. And I've said this before, but what I mean by that is you kind of have to throw yourself in the deep end a little bit and allow yourself to be confused and try to work through the smallest problems possible, like one at a time. And hitting the blockers, getting stuck on simple things like figuring out how to like process input and make a character move, that is frustrating in the moment, especially as a beginner, but those are also necessary parts of learning how to do game development, right? The reason why I can make Alka Mortis is because I've spent hundreds and thousands of hours stuck on problems in the past that I learned how to get through, right? So I think tutorials are good. Like, I think the way that I think about it is tutorials are really good for showing you the unknown unknowns, right? Like how do I even start? So tutorials are a great way of like telling you what tools are in the toolbox, but figuring out how to apply those tools in a way that allows you to make the kinds of games that you want to make, that's largely going to have to be a self-driven effort. You're going to have to get stuck. You're going to have to go out on a limb and try to do things on your own. And then as you get experience doing that, as you get experience solving problems largely on your own, you'll remember that going into the future. And so, you know, by the third or fourth time you go to implement platformer, character controller, right? It'll be really easy because you know what to do, you know what the pitfalls are, you know what tools you need to use, etc. So yeah, that would be my advice to you. I think tutorials are great. They can kind of get you your bearings, but a very common problem is people become reliant on tutorials to get anything done, such that when they go and start a new empty project, they don't know where to start, right? So yeah, I don't know if that helps, but that's my advice. Hello, Ninja Link. Welcome. Good to see you. The horse must drink the water. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. That is a good way of putting it. Okay, so golden locust. Locust. We need to go to artifact modifiers. Public, static, read-only, artifact. Modifier key, int, additional, swarm. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah. Additional. Okay, this just becomes very simple. Register modifier. Additional swarm executions. Current +1. Artifact manager dot accumulate modifier. Artifact modifiers. Additional swarm executions, and then 0. Okay. Keyword swarm swarm abilities will target an additional, will trigger keyword swarm ability on when executed. right? No constructor found for artifact ID, right? Because I have to build the game first. I love the artifact already. Yeah, so a lot of my content focus until release is going to be trying to build out the different play styles that I kind of support currently, but there's just not enough tools to do that. So I think Swarm is one of those things. So we added the Piranha, which I shared in the Discord. I think you saw it, Ninja Link. So the Piranha is basically a Swarm-oriented item. And then obviously the Golden Locust is going to pair very well with that, but also any other Swarm abilities too. So yeah, I'm trying to build out Swarm. Self-damage is another playstyle that I need to build out more of. I think Confuse and Paralysis can probably use more. But also there are existing abilities that don't have great interactions. Like as far as I'm aware, I don't know if there's any like really good heal, like taking heal and converting it into an offensive action. I don't know if there's like great stuff to build around armor. I may end up nerfing armor too. I think armor's a little bit too strong. I may nerf the duration of armor. Right now it lasts for 10 seconds. I may just bump that down to 8. I'm trying to think of a Swarm Cornerstone card. It has been hard to think it out without feeling very OP. Yeah, and the thing is too, like, I think the way that I think about that is that if I want to give a card something very strong or give it very good potential, I think that's kind of the keyword, potential, right? It's like, give a card an ability that would be really strong, but it requires some work on the player's end to unlock that potential, right? So for example, the Perceiver, the giant eyeball, it synergizes very well with like bleed and confuse, or blind and confuse, but it's blind and confused applied by that item, and it doesn't have any confuse abilities by default. So in order to unlock that item's power, you need to alchemize some confuse abilities onto it, right? So I think the same thing should be true of like, if there's like a Swarm Cornerstone card, it should maybe be like 80% of the way there, but require you to get like some kind of alchemical result or modification on it that unlocks its full power, right? Armor is probably the most boring status right now. Have you played at all with like fire or poison, Ninja Link? Because I adjusted fire again. I don't know how good that's feeling to everyone right now. I'm gonna change poison as well. I think I may make poison tick faster. Or something. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But anyway, what am I doing? Oh. Well, let's try this first. Add item maggot. I should probably let's just do this. Training dummy or save file. Poison is a strong build, but fire wasn't too bad. I spammed the funeral pyre ability all over the place and used that to win. Gotcha. Poison feels weak to me, especially early on. I think I lost on Priestess like 10 times. Yeah, so what I could do is for poison... So poison is weird because like if I just reduce the tick rate by like 1/10 of a second, that's actually a pretty big DPS increase, right? So I could reduce the tick rate of poison so that it does more damage more frequently. And that may help with like the early game, maybe. I don't know. There's a bunch of levers I can pull. I'm still wanting a fire-based character. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if we'll do more character. I think there will be no more characters until release, but certainly post-release I could add some more. Poison can be hit or miss. It really depends on what items you roll into. Okay, so I don't know how I'm going to test this necessarily, but let's see. Okay. Add artifact locust. No, I actually think that's working. It's hard to tell. What I could do, actually, let me just do this as a test. I'm going to remove anything that's not the damage here. So when I use the maggot and the piranha, I will be able to see, because the maggot doesn't do any direct damage. So I'll be able to tell if the swarm is triggering that damage twice on the piranha. So I don't have the locust right now, so we should just see 3 damage. 3 and then 2. Because the bleed is there as well. 3 and then 2. Okay. Oops, I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, now let's add artifact locust. Okay, so we've got the locust. Yeah, it's doing that 3 damage twice. Did you see that? 3 damage twice and then 2 damage twice because of the bleed. Yeah. Okay, so that is working as intended. That's great. Put the piranha abilities back. Is that it for the locust? I should probably read the description and make sure it's good. As you say, I'm trying to solve all the problems I encounter while learning, problems I often run into, trying things out on my own because tutorials are usually simplified. Yeah. Cool. I think this is working. Cool. I guess that's it. I guess the locust is done. Is that a custom debug console or an add-on? It's custom. Yeah, it's not anything too sophisticated. It's just like I got this cheat helper here. It has like a, you know, an input. Oh, what is it? Like a text? I don't remember what it's called. Line edit. It's got a line edit for the command, and basically all I do is like whenever I hit enter to submit that, it just does string parsing. So it just matches. It basically splits the string on spaces and then just does a look through the arguments list and says, okay, well, the first argument is whatever function I want to invoke. And then depending on which function I invoke, there may be additional arguments. So add item repeat is basically, you know, take arg0, so that would be the first argument. So I guess it splits it, but then removes the command from the array. So that way the remaining array is just the argument list. And then, yeah, add item repeat will take arg0 as the item ID. It just does a check, says, hey, does that item actually exist? and then it will just iterate over the count, which is the second argument, index 1 in the array, and it just does a loop over that and just adds the item a bunch of times. So yeah, it's very, very straightforward. I mean, obviously this kind of thing is easier because like all of my systems have the proper APIs to like modify them. So when I want to add an artifact, you know, it's pretty straightforward. All I need to do is just check, okay, does the artifact ID exist? So I go to the artifact registry and check it. And then I just go to artifact manager and call add artifact. And that's it. Super simple. It's not doing anything special. It's just kind of like hooking into my existing systems and modifying stuff. But yeah. All right, we'll go for a little bit longer. Artifact. So we'll go for a little bit longer here. I do kind of want to change the obelisks, but I wonder if I shouldn't do that for the playtest. Did you know that calling a woman a piranha in Brazil is offensive? I did not know that. I will remember that for when I go to Brazil. Anyway, so I want to buff the cultist because I don't think the cultist is a very used card. And also, I do want to adjust these obelisks. Do I want to do that now, though? I'm trying to think. Should I change it for the playtest or not? Probably not. I keep going, like, I want to change this, but I probably shouldn't, so we'll just put that in the backlog for now. ID taken from resources, or is there some sort of database? Yeah, so it's all, the database is basically the file system. So what happens on startup is that the artifact registry, it loads all of the artifact resources here. And basically what it does is it uses the file name as the ID because it's guaranteed to be unique, right? So it uses the file name as the ID, and then it loads up all the resources into memory and then in a dictionary by ID, right? So I can get an instantiated artifact resource by referencing the ID. And then the artifact resource itself, it has a bunch of stuff in here. Well, I guess it's not. Yeah, it's not in here. I have the artifact factory. Artifact factory allows me to create artifacts from either a resource or an artifact ID. And then I also have an artifact ID class, which puts all the IDs in a just C# constant, so I can reference them in code if I need to. And this is generated code. So when I go to create an artifact, I have a tool that I run that will update this artifact ID, so I don't need to manually touch this. And then otherwise, it's just loaded up at runtime through the artifact registry. So here, basically register artifacts. There's this for resources and directory. This is basically just a loop that iterates over the directory that's given. And then I can do an action for each file. And so the action in here is basically saying, okay, the action accepts a file name and file path argument. And then I could just go ahead and load those resources, call initialize on them, which sets up like all this stuff as well. And then I map it ID to resource, ID equals resource. And then whenever I need a resource, I just do from ID, and that's it. Do I still need this duplication here? I wonder if I need that still. Why is there a duplicate here? I may not need that. I don't think that's necessary. It's old people offensive slang, though. Young people don't use that. Oh, interesting. Okay. Do you have any opinions on using an LLM for game dev? I find that using an LLM does speed up my production, but it removes so much of the satisfaction. Yeah, I mean, I think LLMs are helpful. I think I use them as like a little QA guy, like, hey, check this new feature I added in, see if there's any side effects or bugs that I didn't consider. Also, I think it's very nice for just doing rote stuff that's not super satisfying to do anyway. Like, I like writing all of my abilities for my cards. So, like, I'll go in, and even though the LLM will probably be able to create the abilities for my items the way that I want them to, I personally think it's fun to, like, figure out how they work and, like, try to use my system in the best way possible to make it work. But sometimes there are just, like, rote tasks that you just don't want to do for whatever reason, because it's just like, you know exactly what to do and it's not super satisfying and you're not really solving any problem. You're just kind of like updating the code because of a refactor that you did or whatever. So in those situations, I like to sick Claude on it and just say, hey, I refactored this system so that it does this, but now there's these 150 places in the code that aren't compiling because they all need to be updated. Go and do that, please. I'm going to go get some tea, and when I come back, it's all done, right? So that kind of thing is like, you know, that's a huge time saver, and also like I'm not missing out on anything, right? But using it as like a QA or a code reviewer is really, really good, because like it's just nice to have an extra pair of eyes on any new feature that you add, especially if your code base is more complex. And Claude has on several cases caught a side effect that I didn't consider, which I was then able to go and address before it became a bug in the actual game, right? So yeah. Do you have any telemetry to track card popularity and such? Data is valuable feedback. No, I'm doing vibes-based balancing. I may add telemetry later, but like, let's say Alcamortis gets super popular, which I hope happens, but is not guaranteed to happen, obviously. And it would be nice at that point to know like which items are commonly being taken and which are uncommonly being taken. The problem is, though, that's not necessarily useful data in and of itself, because there are several items in the game that are very situational. And so it may be the case that they're not being chosen often simply because the situations where they're the most powerful don't arise that often, right? So it wouldn't be as simple as just making sure that everything has an equal use rate, right? Because that wouldn't tell me anything. I mean, if everything in the game had an equal usage rate, what that would tell me is that like everything in the game is so similar to each other that they're basically interchangeable. Like, I almost want to see some things that only have like a 3% usage rate, because that means they're highly situational, but they're useful when you can meet the requirements. Does that make sense? So I'm not entirely sure that data alone would be super helpful. I think the kind of feedback that I have been getting from players where it's like, hey, Cultist feels very weak to me, right? That's why I want to buff the Cultist, because it's like, yeah, I kind of agree. Like, the Cultist doesn't really have anything that makes it particularly interesting or strong. And so that kind of thing is like, yeah, that's what I mean by like vibes based. It's like, it's a large item that doesn't really have situational power really at all, and there are better options available. So what can we do to the Cultist to give it something unique that actually does make it powerful in certain circumstances? Do you use a library for generated code? Sounds like news to me outside of LLMs. So there's two types of generated code. Well, I guess there might be more than two, but C# has source generators, which are exactly what they sound like. They generate source code for you programmatically as part of like the build process, as part of the compile process. Godot uses that. The Godot library uses that very heavily. And I'm also using it for my Godot utilities add-on. But then there's like the more brute force, or the more direct way of generating code, which is basically just write a text file with proper C# syntax to a location, right? And that's what I'm doing. Like when I do the artifact or the ID constants generator, this is what's generating like the card ID list, for example. This is very predictable. This is not complex at all, right? It's just like public const string, all caps name, all lowercase name, right? And so this is just a matter of taking this card constructor template. It's just this string, right? But then replacing here with just the list of strings that are formatted like this, right? And so when I run the ID constants generator, it literally just creates a text file with a C# extension with this text in it. And that's it, right? So it's not super sophisticated, but... Okay, I'm going to take another quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we will take a look at buffing the cultist. We'll see if we can give him an interesting ability or something, or just buff the numbers, something like that. But anyway, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes, and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. Cool stuff. Sounds like magic. It's not quite magic, but I think that's one of the reasons why I just like programming so much, is that it really does feel like you're a wizard at some point. Like being able to just sit down and like make any digital product you want to make, essentially, with nothing but like an IDE and time, is kind of amazing, actually. I really like that. It's like there's an infinite space of possibility, near infinite possibilities. You could sit down and like make a Netflix clone in your home office in like 3 months, you know? And it's just kind of amazing to me, right? But anyway. Do you use Social Stream Ninja for live stream announcements in Discord? No, I just manually post those. All right, let's take a look at the cultist. Apply fire to both enemy and self per adjacent item that heals. This projects the minion tag. Let me take a look. I want to take a look at it in game. That's going to be a little bit easier, I think. I'm thinking we could give the cultist some kind of innate ability that makes it really strong. I mean, we could just lean into the self-fire thing. We could give him like an innate ability that's like apply some large amount of fire, right? Like apply 8 fire to the enemy for each time self-fire was applied since last execution or something like that. So if we just lean into the self-fire and give it like a lot of offensive capability based on that, right? So the intent of this was like, let's see. Yeah, I'm thinking we get rid of this second part. So apply 3 fire to both enemy and self. We'll just do self fire, right? So apply 3 fire to self per adjacent item that heals. We'll also reduce it down to maybe like 2 fire or something, so it's a little bit less punishing. The idea is though, because it scales off of things that heal, the intent is that you'll have like healing surrounding this guy so that any self-fire damage that you're taking is basically undone by the heal. But I think what we'll do is we'll get rid of the enemy portion of this. We'll just do self-fire, and then we'll add an innate ability that applies a lot of fire to the enemy per instance of self-fire that was done. And I think that may make him feel a little bit nicer. Of course, we still don't have a whole lot of self-fire in the game, so there needs to be more of that as well to really unlock the potential, but hopefully this will make him better just in the short term. So to apply 2 self per adjacent item that heals, we're going to go down to this. We'll get rid of just this, get rid of the dynamic fire. Okay, so that's down to just self-fire. So let's do an innate, so fire per self-fire. Ability configuration. We'll call this one self-fire. Let's rename, let's not rename that actually. I can't rename the keys. So let's do, let's call it fire. Fire per self-fire. Let's make this innate. I guess I have no way of tracking that. That's fine. Cursed figurehead. Damage taken provider, self-damage. How do I do this? let's take a look at this skull staff. Status stacks applied provider. Oh, that's not right. I need instances of stacks applied. Do I not have that? I don't think I have that actually. Damage taken provider. What is this? Count instances. I guess I don't really have that. I would love to just be able to get a raw instance count. Well, I guess there's not really a good way to do this. Status applied tracker for type fire. Oh, this needs to be fire status. Actually, no, I want to do ability execution tracker for type fire. The board target type is self. Source board is source board. Return false. Okay. So let's do additional filter. Is this capture on execute? Capture on execute. I always forget how this works. Yeah, capture on execute. Right, okay. So additional filter X return X dot ability is fire and fire dot target self is equal to true. I guess we could just return and just do that. Oops. Okay. Okay, and then on triggered. We actually don't need on triggered. I think that's it. So we're listening for fire executions that come from the source board where target self is equal to true. Okay. Const int base fire. Let's do 8 var current fire is equal to base fire. Dynamic fire is equal to new dynamic magnitude ability. Oh, we need a value scaler. New value scaler. Status stacks applied. Value scaler set multiplier current fire. Value scaler in here. And then we want new fire 0. Okay, so we're going to do status stacks applied and then dynamic fire. Scaling func, we're going to say current fire is equal to ability scalars dot apply scalar, ability scalars dot get fire scalar. Actually, I don't need that. Base magnitude, tier, set multiplier current fire, description template, apply 0 keywords dot fire per self keywords applied since last execution. Current fire, card cultist. Okay. So let's build. We'll build the translations and then we'll see if that works. Gotta go. Have an amazing stream. Thanks, Clickertail. Hope you have a good day. Random feedback. I was confused by the tier icon. I didn't know what it was until I had upgraded an item. Notice the number increment. Kind of looks like the poop emoji. That's like the 5th person to say that. How does that look like the poop emoji? It's perfectly triangular. Okay, cultist. Apply 8 fire per self fire applied since last execution. I mean, we can try to do a different icon for the tier. I don't really know what icon to use for the tier though. I actually want to reword this too. Query target provider.query options.custom filter description with a keywords.heal ability. Query target provider.toQuery string template 1. Singular true. Value scalar, get multiplier. We'll just clean up that language as well. Make it a little bit more consistent. What icon can we use for the tier icon? People keep saying it looks like the poop emoji. I don't know. To self per adjacent item with a heal ability. Okay, yes, that's correct. Okay, add item, Sage. All right, let's just see if this works now. So it's not going to apply any fire at first. And it applied 8 there. 8 there. Yeah, that seems to be working. Go ahead and die. Sell the Sage. And now if I do combat, it shouldn't be applying any fire to anyone. Okay. So we can do something like add corrupted ability self fire. Shoot, what is that called? It's called self fire per item above. Goodness gracious, could I have been any more verbose? Add corrupted ability. Okay, and then we add stone 1 because I'm gonna die. Okay, add item Sage. Auto resolve. Oh, I won. Wow. So this guy should be applying 18 fire now, or something like that. 8. Oh yeah, that's scaling pretty good actually. Yeah, so hopefully that item is a lot more powerful. 8 fire is quite a lot per instance of self damage or self fire done. So, okay, buff cultist with new ability. Okay, awesome. To do new tier icon. Let's just see if we can do a new tier icon right now. Maybe something more like a military rank emblem. I think the shading, highlighting not being symmetrical gives the swirl impression. See if I can find here. Are these all... Is this one 11 by 9 as well? Okay, 11 by 9, I guess. A military rank emblem. I don't have a whole lot of space to do this stuff. So I could just do like a... That doesn't really communicate tier either, if it was just like a star of some kind. Also, it looks a little bit similar to the enchant icon. As a matter of fact, that might be the exact shape of the enchant icon. That doesn't really communicate it either. More like a stacked chevrons. Let's see. Okay, that could work. How do I make the most of this space now? Something like that, potentially. Maybe I just get rid of that. We could certainly see how this looks. I don't think the dark blue works in there. Do I do outlines for these? I don't think so. All right, let's see what that looks like. Maybe an upwards pointing arrow. You like that a lot more? That is already so much better. Okay, all right. It's not as wide as the other ones, though. That's kind of the thing that's a little bit bothering me. But maybe I can do... Would it look too weird if I offset them a little bit? No, that wouldn't work. I could make them maybe even thicker. Is that going to be too much? Okay, let's just undo the shading here. If I make these even thicker, that may work actually. Yeah. Let's see if that works. Okay. Just get the shading. Okay, maybe that's better. Let's see. Do I want to do... No, that's too dark. Let's see what that does. Is that too thick? How does that look? That would be a corporal, right? I have no idea. I don't know anything about military ranks. But is that too thick? Let's see. I mean, maybe it's okay. It's hard to tell what it looks like just in the preview. Yeah, that's probably too dark. I guess one of the problems is that this is dipping down. Yeah, maybe if I do that. I could also shove this one up a little bit more and get rid of that. That might look a little bit weird as well. And then I can move this down like that. It doesn't look... All right, we'll just put it back the way it was. I mean, that's probably okay. Maybe fit a third in the stack. So you like them thick, huh? Goodness gracious. The meme levels are off the charts. Let me just see how that looks. Actually, that might be even better. So I can't fit a third one, but it should be, since it takes up more horizontal space, they're not as thick, and also now it looks a little bit weird. I mean, we can see how that looks. I mean, that looks better. Do something like that. I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess I don't really need to spend a whole lot of time on this, but whatever. Let's just see how that looks. No, I don't like that. Just put a... I guess it's fine. Looks good small. Now it's feel like it's been slapped. I think that fits the composition better. Can I get that Windows 98 theme for A-Sprite? I found it on itch.io if you just look for like A-Sprite 95, I think. Maybe another pixel of space between the chevrons, but then it won't be vertically centered, right? I mean, I guess I could move this up and move this one down. See, the problem is it won't be quite centered, but we could try that. I suppose that looks fine. Maybe if I... Yeah, I'm just not quite liking how any of this is like the shading in particular is looking. If I make it too bright, that's not going to work well either. Although I guess that doesn't look terrible. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really need to spend a whole lot of time on this. Let's see. Okay. Actually, that probably looks fine. Does it probably look fine? Yeah, it just looks weird. No matter what I do, it looks weird. Okay, maybe we just roll with that. Does that look better, though? Ain't that just A-Sprite? Oh, no, it's the 95, Windows 95 theme. Let's not overthink this. Let's quit while I'm ahead. Okay, can we at least agree that that doesn't look like the poop emoji anymore? Can I please stop receiving... Can I please stop receiving comments now that it looks like the poop emoji? Can we all agree on that now? I'm quite shocked at how often that piece of feedback has come up. But the most recent comment about the poop emoji is the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess. It looks fantastic. Okay, all right. We'll go with this then. We'll go with that. Poop emoji to chevrons. So it doesn't look like a poop emoji. Oh, can I? Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. I think this is the first time I've ever put an emoji in a commit message. Happy to help. Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah. Feedback like that is useful because, like, if you're thinking it, then probably lots of other people are thinking it, and it's probably not good. It really did look like poo, though. All right. Okay. Whatever. It's fixed now. It's fixed. Goodness gracious. Okay. Alrighty. What else are we going to do here? I wanted to add a reagent to buff max health. Oh, I had a reagent idea that I sent to my email. I remember what it is, though. It's I want to do some more gambling reagents. So, item. Reagent that has a 50% chance to have cooldown and 50% chance to double. So I want to introduce some more like explicit gambling stuff because I think that would be really fun. I'm imagining, so this reagent that has a chance to reduce cooldown, like to multiply it by 0.5 or multiply it by 2, I'm imagining that reagent is going to be really useful as like a preparation step. So let's say you get an item that you could make work in your build, but it hasn't been alchemized yet. So you go, okay, well, I'm just going to gamble that with this reagent. And maybe I'll hit the halved cooldown. Now that I've hit the halved cooldown, I can then put all my other stuff on it that I want, right? If anyone still thinks it looks like it, they should probably see it. What's the name of the extension used for the to-do stuff? It's Kanban, the Kanban plugin for Obsidian. Welcome, Y Kittle. All right, so we need to think of this reagent. I was thinking something like Gambler's Dice or something. Although that might be better as an item rather than a reagent.
Make it a large reagent as well. Oh no, I was thinking of doing something like, oh, this would be really hard to do, but like gambler's ear or gambler's arm or something. The idea being that like the reagent would be some piece of a gambler that was punished, right? So like, oh, gambler got punished for swindling somebody, so he got his arm chopped off, and now like the gambler's arm is a reagent that you can use. Kind of macabre, but would be kind of cool. Oh, I remember what I was gonna do. Yes. I was gonna make it a gambler's toenail. That's what I was gonna do. Do I do it as a 1x1 item? 2x2 item? I really don't even know how to draw a toenail. Make it a big 2x2 reagent. Doesn't make sense though, toenails are not that big, but that's okay. I mean, maybe... The other thing that's kind of appealing about making it a larger reagent is that it becomes harder to reduce the cooldown of large items. Well, anyway, let's just do it this way. Let's just do a 1x1. Oops. Can I actually do this? If it doesn't end up working out, we can change it. Oh, that's not quite what I want. We're gonna get a good... I'm on the wrong layer. Lock that one. Okay. So I'm thinking we put like a... I had a very specific idea for this. Let me just round this off. Okay, maybe that shape is better. Anyway. Okay, this is not working the way that I was expecting it to. Okay, this is going to take a little bit of finagling to get correct. Yeah. I don't know how likely it is that people are going to know People are going to know what this is. Just mess around with it a little bit, though. I mean, it's almost there. Okay, I think even though I want to put like a little notch in it, I think that is kind of throwing me off a little bit. Wonder if I made this... The orange is just too dark. Okay, well, figure it out, I guess. I do want to do like a little split in it, but the problem is... Oh, that works, I think. Well, I don't really know if that looks too much like a toenail, but that's okay. I guess it doesn't look terrible. This part down here is a little bit not good. It's a little bit not good, but, you know, no offense. Wow. Well, I guess it's just not going to work. Now it looks more like a toenail. Yeah, it's getting there. I think there's a part of it that's just not feeling right to me. Yeah, there's a part that's just not feeling quite right. Nope, that doesn't look like anything. Okay, is there something else I can do that would be easier to draw? Make it at an angle? Well, it's supposed to be at an angle. I mean, it already is at an angle, right? It's like facing this way. So if you can't tell, then it's like, yeah, it's not going to work. What else could I do for this? I feel like yellow would make more sense than blue. I mean, I don't have any yellow, though. That's the thing. You would invert the colors. Typically, nails have a lighter color at their base, or... Yeah, maybe. But they're also shiny, right? Yeah, I don't think there's a way to make this work, at least not with my skill level. Nails are warm tones. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like anything if I use that. Okay, delete. Here's what we'll do. Question mark. All right, let's just do the functionality. I have been stumped again. I need to get more toenail drawing practice in, I guess. Looks like a boxing glove. Yeah, it's just not going to work. I don't think I have the ability to draw that. So I'm going to have to think of something else to draw. Which means I may have to rename it as well, but let's just work on the ability for it. Alchemy, replace legendary. So we'll just copy. Do I want to just copy this one? New file, alchemy. Let's call it randomize cooldown. Okay, 1 second. Actually, I'm going to take another quick break real quick before I implement this. So BRB in just a couple minutes. All right, I'm back. Okay, so let's see what we want to do here. So this is alchemy, randomize cooldown. Corners. What kind of query directions do we want to do? Let's do right edge. We don't care about custom filter. Query options dot limit is equal to 1. Query target provider dot query options dot order by random is equal to true. Okay. So we'll do I'll just do this for translation purposes. Float chance is equal to 0.5. 0 chance to double and 0 chance to have is that what I want to word it? Maybe I'll do randomly have or double the cooldown of yeah, query target provider dot to query string template 0 description template parameters func query target provider dot query options dot limit. Okay. This is ability alchemy randomize cooldown. It's read only. Description template parameters func. There we go. Okay. I basically want to copy elf in a jar here. Alchemy reduce cooldown. Turn cooldown modification per card. So we're going to want to copy this. So we're going to want the base cooldown. We'll just do something simple. rng.randf is less than chance. We'll do base cooldown divided by equals 2, else base cooldown base cooldown I'm just trying to think of like what edge cases would be here, but that's okay. So let's say my turn cooldown was 1, I divide it by 2, that'd be 0. Set the base cooldown to 0. I think it will be clamped naturally, so I don't think I need to clamp it here. Okay, and this remains an integer, which is good. Modification. So now I need to get the difference, right? So var diff is equal to base cooldown minus let's do original cooldown okay diff is equal to new cooldown minus base cooldown or original cooldown. Is that right? So yeah. So if I have it, if I go from 10 to 5, that's minus 5. Or minus, well, it would be 100 to 50. So it'd be minus 50. But if my new cooldown is 20, it would go up. So then I can put modification plus equals diff here. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. So now we can go to Gambler Toenail, new alchemy randomized cooldown. Okay, and then we gotta go here. Gambler Toenail. This is a reagent. We'll mark this one as in development as well, just in case. What are the odds if the cooldown is halved or doubled? 50-50? Yeah, 50-50. And I can indicate that in the ability text, I guess. Maybe I could do has an equal chance to randomly have something like that. Or I could just do this. Well, yeah, I don't know how to make that super clear, I guess. I would assume that 50-50 is implied, but maybe not. I guess saying equal chance is clear because then it means that, yeah, I think that's clear, right? Because I can't say 50% chance to have or double because that implies that there's a 50% chance that nothing will happen, right? So if I say if it has an equal chance to randomly have or double, then that means that I think that basically implies better that it's a 50-50. But maybe that wording is a little bit weird. I don't know, but let's just see. Let's see if it works, and then we can worry about the wording and the art and everything. Perfect, okay. So add item gambler toenail. Has an equal chance to randomly have or double the cooldown of one random item on the right edge. All right, let's see what happens with the cultist here. Boom. Why did that go down to 2? Oh, because it was 4 seconds, right? That makes sense. Ooh, halved it again. It halved it again. No way. All right, I don't know why that's working every time. Could just be RNG. I want to see it go up at least once. So 4.7, that should be 9.4 if it doubles. There we go, 9.4. Cool. We might make this one a little bit less common as well. Loot table weight, let's do something like 4. So it's a little bit less common. We're not going to make it legendary though because it's not purely beneficial. But yeah. Drop that randomly. Yeah, that's true. We could do that. Okay. So I'll need to do the art for this, but I think functionally it works. The other thing I want to try before I say it's done is I want to see if it works with elf in a jar. So what I'm doing is I'm not changing. So other turn cooldown modifications can be built up by other reagents. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the existing base cooldown and I'm just modifying this modification number by that base cooldown. But anything like elf in a jar will then apply its reduction additionally to that. So yeah, so let's see. Add item gambler toenail. Okay, so we do that. And then I'll do elf in a jar. So elf, add item. Elf in a jar. Reduce the cooldown of left adjacent. Ah, that's not right. Okay. Anyway, left and bottom adjacent. So the possible outputs would be 1.8 seconds if it gets halved and 7.8 seconds if it gets doubled. So basically it'll apply the halve or doubling based on this cooldown that's in the tooltip there. And then the elf will subtract 0.2 from that. 1.8, there we go. Cool. So I'm pretty confident that that works. There's not, because it's not really overwriting anything. It's just adding to that modification number here based on the diff. So yeah, that should work. I don't think there's anything super breakable there. Oh, I do want to build again, rebuild the translations. Rebuild. Okay. All right. So I need to update the name, flavor text, art, and remove in development flag. Okay, so yeah, I'll probably end the stream there, but after I get some lunch, I'm gonna finish these things up, and then I'll push a patch, and that will contain all the stuff that we worked on. So the next patch will have the Sunstone fix, it will have the Golden Locust, it will have the Cultist buff, the new tier icon, and then these 2 new items. So yeah, should be fun, but I gotta tighten all those things up, finish them, and then... But that patch should be coming this afternoon, assuming that I don't get stuck on the toenail art for 3 hours. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. The Alchemortis playtest is available now. So if you're interested in trying out the game, please head on over to the Steam page, click Request Access. This is going to be the last playtest before the publicly available demo build is up, so this is your last chance to get in any of your feedback. I mean, not really the last chance, but this is the last opportunity for major changes to happen before the game marches ahead toward release. I am very glad to see the feedback on this iteration. I haven't gotten any feedback that's negative about like the core game systems. All the feedback has been so far just based around like a bug or some quality of life issues or some polish that could be added, some UX things. So that's great. And a lot of you have been asking for endless mode as well, which means that you're enjoying your runs and you want to keep playing your runs, which is also a great feeling. So I'm feeling pretty confident about the overall gameplay and the balance, generally speaking. And yeah, we will see how it goes. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I want a toenail on my desk by end of day. Okay. Ew. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. I may do another stream later, so join the Discord to be notified when I go live. Otherwise, thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, have a good day, everybody. Thanks again, and bye-bye for now.